or so before we get started.
Robbie usually joins, but he's on leave, so
Mala will usually joins. I think she's also, I'm not sure she is gonna join us. But Javier, Mario, can I start I started your recording. Can I then jump off the session, please?
You're more than welcome to. We're just going to give it a minute or so. Unfortunately, we only have half an hour. Welcome to Chantal. We unfortunately only have half an hour, so we need to start right on the button and take it from there. Okay, it is 4 o'clock. Thank you. Unfortunately, these sessions are only half an hour long, so we can't delay them. Welcome to Chantal. Chantal, you're the only person on the call, so this is for you. Can we quickly hear what qualification are you enrolled for and when are you looking to start? Chantal, I see you unmuted.
Chantal, I don't know if there's something wrong with your sound quality, but we're not hearing you. So we can see that you're unmuted and we can see the little blue circle going on and off, but we're not hearing anything.
Looks like Chantal may have a challenge there. Chantal, would you mind just giving us a thumbs up or drop something in the chat just so that we can see that you can hear us? Then I can get started. There, so hands up. And Ronnie, oh, yeah, old customer. Welcome, Ronnie.
Ronnie, hi, good afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon. Okay, so I can get started. Great. 2 students, progress. So we were meant to discuss referencing. Yeah, Ronnie was with us all by herself a couple of weeks ago. Thank you very much for joining again. The session was scheduled, or the topic for today was meant to be about referencing, but this was the previous session, and they form a set. And I feel that, I know it sounds like blasphemy, but I think this is more important than referencing, and it's definitely something that we need to cover before you can get into the other sessions. We will be delving more deeply into how to formulate an academic argument and how to write a paragraph and all the rest of it. So working with the academic test is, in that sense, more important than referencing, and there's so much available on referencing. I mean, we've got the plugins now for MS Word, etc. So I'm not going to talk. I'm using this session to catch up on this session on working with academic text, and I hope that's in order. As always, you're welcome to jump in at any time. You just pop a hand up, or you can just interject, and I'm very happy to answer any questions. So with that, and unfortunately we have got very limited time, so I'm going to jump straight into it. Okay. So what does it mean to read for academic purposes? Now, the first thing there is to be present and read actively. Now, what does that mean? So as higher education students, you will be bombarded by text, whether it's articles and textbooks and guides, etc. And it's important that when you are working through these texts, you are reading actively and you are present in your reading. So what that means is, while you are reading, you're not simply covering the words, you are looking for structures of meaning. So you absolutely have to be present and concentrate on what is in front of you. You have to question the motives of the author. Why are they taking this stance? How is this stance contrasted to other stances or other views on this particular topic? So it's important to think about your reading while you are reading, so that these structures of meaning form. It's a very, very important skill to build, specifically at undergraduate level. We are dealing with postgraduate level students that are, are meant to have already mastered the skill, but struggled tremendously when they are asked to do, for instance, a literature review. They struggle to form these structures of meaning. They are struggling to critique and evaluate what they read. They are simply reading for the sake of reading. And that is something that you need to practice and make a conscious effort around. You have to look for contextual cues. Now, reading is all about understanding what you read within a particular context and having a sensitivity to the context. In other words, what is happening around what you read, around the author, around their particular viewpoint and their particular stance, informs the meaning. So looking for contextual cues is absolutely critical. You have to ask questions. Why would someone take this particular viewpoint? Why would they take this stance? What are they meaning? So it's about continuously, actively engaging with text as opposed to simply skimming right over it. Also important, part of us being present, part of us being engaged with the text, is to try and find relationships to other texts, to other ideas. And that's why it's important that when we do research, and research is part, fortunately or unfortunately for you, at every level of the Da Vinci Institute, at every qualification we do has a research component in it, whether it's at modular level or in a formal project or in a thesis or a dissertation. It doesn't matter. You have to be able to survey literature, survey what is being written about a particular topic. And it's not a case of just Googling and finding the top 5 and then saying, I've done my literature review, I've done my survey. It's about being able to critique what you're reading. So you have to be skeptical, you have to be critical. And part of that is finding relationships to other texts. Maybe someone explained it better, or maybe someone has a more articulate way of expressing a particular topic. So it is about finding those relationships, understanding what happens in that pool that represents a particular subject, and not just focusing on what is right in front of you. It's important that when you read, you are able to evaluate and formulate, or rather articulate, what the writer's stance or viewpoint is on a particular matter. So it's important that at intervals as you're reading, saying to yourself, but where is this person in the discussion? Where is this person in the controversy over, relating to a particular topic? What view have they taken? Why have they taken that view? What are the contextual cues that influences that view? What particular worldview are they speaking from? And that is absolutely critical now. The more we progress as a society, the more voices are added to scholarly debate. I'm particularly interested in the gender debate. And there are so many different gender identities now, and they each lend a particular view to a topic. So while you could have a discussion on gender identity, the voices that are involved are so diverse that they dramatically color the debate. So you need to be aware of that. You need to be aware of the position of a writer and try to understand why they have taken that view. The second strategy. Now, all of this sounds great, but it makes for slow reading. You are taking notes, you are cross-referencing. That makes for slow reading. So while you are building this skill of reading or being present in your reading, you simultaneously have to be efficient. Otherwise, it's going to take you forever to do a task. So when we talk about efficient reading, we are talking about reading fast, but with understanding. And this is a difficult skill to develop. You have to be able to work your way through text very quickly, but very effectively. So all of the things we discussed in regards to engaging with text, you have to be able to do quickly and efficiently. So you have to be able to extract meaning by building connections, comparing things, contrasting things, analyzing, critiquing, unpacking things. So part of reading effectively is also knowing when to skip over things. So unfortunately, this is not something we can teach you. This is something that you develop as you read a lot and you read from different viewpoints and you read a lot of diverse texts, is to be able to know that when someone is not contributing to your reading, you need to be able to skip over it. Something that I explained to one of my students yesterday was one of the hardest things a writer can do is to decide to cut something out. So if you don't have these skills of engaging, of reading critically, everything will make its way into your assignment. Everything will make its way into your thesis. And you need to have a discernment to say, well, this contributes, this is useful, or this is not useful. So it just adds to the complexity. And then when you read, and you're doing all of this quickly and as efficiently as possible, and you're taking notes at the speed of light, you have to be able to deconstruct things that you don't understand. So when we come across something we don't understand, we pull it apart, we probe the problem. We deconstruct it into its different constituting parts, analyze those, understand those, and then reconstruct it so that we can form meaning for ourselves. Okay, so we read actively, we read with efficiency. The third component there is to critique what you read. And you see I had a little scale there. It's difficult as a student to evaluate the authenticity of something you read, to evaluate the value of something you read. And that's why it's important to read very broadly on a topic, because you will have people that make tertiary comments, or they are sort of third, two steps away from a source text that is deemed authoritative. And they're not really contributing to the debate anymore. You need to be able to discern that those people or those writers are not really contributing or being helpful, or they're not producing sources that are helpful to your current investigation. So when we critique reading, we evaluate the validity and authenticity of the texts that we consult. So it is an incredibly important skill to develop. And it is something that almost comes naturally to me at my ripe old age now, and I've done my fair amount of reading, that I can quickly, while reading something, just from the style of writing, from the way that something is referenced, from the way that arguments are structured, discern if something is of value or not of value. So what are the factors that impact meaning of a text? And that is context, right? So you need to be able to pull on the context as well to help you evaluate the value of something. As a literature student, many years ago, if we were doing a assignment, let's say, on a particular Shakespeare play, and you Google that play, or you Google commentary on that play, you will find 150,000 possible sources. But what is important is to understand the context from which the writer of these sources are produced. Some of them wrote very close to the period. Some of them wrote very close to where the phenomenon took place. Others were very far removed. So obviously the people that have a more relevant context has more value than those that do not. We have to ask questions. And what I was explaining now is primary, secondary, and tertiary context commentary on a phenomenon. So the further someone is removed, remember, the older a topic is, or the more well-researched the topic is. This is particularly true in business leadership, which is sort of the umbrella theme that the Vinci Institute carries, is that there is so much written about it, and then these authoritative texts are created, and people comment on them, and people comment on the commentary. and later become so far removed that there is really no more value in commenting on these phenomena. So you have to understand where this person is in their writing. Are they directly commenting on a phenomenon, or are they commenting on the comments of a phenomenon? And the more you do that, the further you get removed from it and the less authentic that resource is. You also need to be able to classify text and quickly pick up whether something is a scholarly work, in other words, if there's scientific investigation involved, or is it simply a social commentary? Is it a popular work? Is it a magazine article versus a journal article? You would be able to discern that very quickly as you start working with academic text, and that allows you to classify things. Now, it's not always a case that secular writing is bad. Secular writing, of course, is not as researched as scholarly work, but in a lot of instances, in pop culture, for instance, the phenomena is mostly described through secular works and not always scholarly works. So it's not a case that one is better than the other, but you need to be able to classify your text and be able to draw on something that is appropriate for your purposes. Okay, let's see what else we have. Okay, now we have an activity. Ronnie, I hope you're not in the car like you were last time, because you need to focus on what I'm going to put on the screen. Are you ready? Chantal, are you ready?
Yeah.
So I'll ask you to skim read the next text. I'm going to show you a slide. Then there's going to be questions, and we're going to discuss those questions, right? So this is a primary school comprehension test with a twist. Are you ready? Okay, here we go. Everybody ready?
Yeah.
Okay, no, well, I'm not ready because I don't have a timer on. I'm just going to set a timer.
That's extra 30 seconds.
Exactly, yeah, you have to participate as well, Lebu. We've got exactly 60 seconds. I've tried this. I've tested this with someone else as well. Sorry, and here we go. 3, 2, 1. Oh, wrong direction. Sorry, let's start again. There we go. So you've got 60 seconds from now. Okay, that is 60 seconds. So let's look at the first question. Who'd like to give that a try? If you made notes, were you reading actively? Were you engaging? You'd like
in the 1800.
When did the Cretaceous period end? Let's see.
1800.
65 million years ago, the Cretaceous period ended. So they were not in the 1800s. 65 million years ago. All right? That was an easy one. Let's look at the next one. Did any bird survive the ending of the Cretaceous period? Ronnie, what is your answer?
I don't think I caught this one, but yes.
Did birds survive?
Mario, they didn't specify, but it doesn't sound that way because mammals survived and something else survived. I can't remember.
You have a specialist talking. Do you hear the critique? Do you hear the critique? Let's see.
50 to 75% of the mammals and something like that.
Let's see. So the question asks, did any bird survive? Let's see. Of the animals, only amphibians and birds survived. Amphibians and mammals survived.
I just wanted to say, I definitely read mammals.
Yeah, so amphibians and mammals survived. So what was happening there, you were able to deduce an answer, right? That's active reading. Let's look. Next question. Iridium is cosmic dust. True or false?
Can I try?
Please
I
do.
think
Yeah, you can hear me now.
Yes.
The answer is true, because that's what the scientists were looking for.
Okay. Let's
yeah, I
have-
agree.
Right. So iridium has largely been detected in scientific samples from other parts of the solar system. In other words, the team was searching for cosmic dust. Okay. But is that definitive? Because what it says here is that not commonly found in the Earth's crust, not commonly found in the Earth's crust and mantle, iridium has been largely detected in scientific samples from other parts of the solar system. In other words, the team was searching for cosmic dust. Now, this is a classic example of where something is speculated, where it's stated in not really a scientific or supported way. So the answer there is we are not certain. Sorry. So you can't really answer that question from the text. It makes the conclusion, but the conclusion is not sound. You are critiquing, you are evaluating what you read. Because just in the previous sentence, it said, well, it is scarce in Earth's soil, but it is not completely absent from the Earth's soil. So the writer there was making a conclusion that was not completely logically sound. What does the presence of high iridium content in a soil sample signify? Who wants to give it a guess?
I'll try.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really grappling here, but I would say that it's contains radiation.
Okay, so it's also any and other words for T. Okay. Alvarez discovered again sources vary, and that sources vary gives you some cues, contextual cues around whether this is really a authentic, valuable piece of writing. A layer between 1 and 2 centimeters thick at the point believed to mark the boundary between those two periods. This layer had an iridium content 30 times higher than its surrounding layer. So the question was, what does the presence of high iridium content in a soiled sample signify? And what we were meant to deduce from that is that it is cosmic dust. So something crashed on the Earth and absorbed that iridium. So we are deducing a potential answer from this. Last question. According to Alvarez, what killed the dinosaurs? Did they say? Can you speculate?
They didn't directly say in the
They
content.
didn't say, but are you able to deduce an answer?
Is it not the iridium?
And the iridium comes from?
Space, comet.
Space.
Yes, the
So how did space
cosmic.
get onto the Earth? There was obviously some sort of comet or some sort of explosion, and this particle hit the Earth, and the assumption we can make is that according to what we just read here, is what killed the dinosaurs. Now, what you were meant to take from this is not a comprehension test. This is a test to see how deeply you engage, how quickly you are able to engage with text, and while you're doing that, to critique what you're reading. So this is actually a very shabbily researched piece of writing. And the reason I'm saying that is it is not citing anything concrete. A lot of deductions are being made, a lot of assumptions are being made, and because of that, the assumptions and deductions we are making is potentially incorrect. So that is not good academic writing, and this is not a good piece of academic, good piece of academic writing to engage with. So all I was trying to make you aware of here is, yes, we are reading for understanding, we are reading for recall, but what we should also be doing is critiquing what we're reading continuously, right? So Chantal, does it make sense to you?
Yes, absolutely. And I've had recently just exactly this kind of scenario happen, where the author made a statement which I know to be incorrect. He said the company closed down, and then further down in the passage he makes reference to the company not having closed down. So yes, I've experienced it.
So what does that do to the value of what you're reading?
Oh, I immediately chucked it out.
Check it, right?
Yeah.
You chuck it. So yes, that is what we need to get to, is your ability to evaluate texts. So again, it is practically very important in assignment writing and all of your research activities to be able to discern the value of text as you are surveying a particular topic. All right. We only had 4 participants, sorry, today. So my timing is a little off. I was giving it exactly, yes, Lebu, I was giving it exactly 30 minutes. I timed it out, but we finished a few minutes early. Yes, Lebu.
I think, Mario, the baseline knowledge we acquired years and years ago through Shakespeare and all these literature books that we had difficult English teachers, they actually made us not to be interested in critically evaluating, because clearly it took me years to understand what Shakespeare was saying anyway.
Yeah, we were talking about it this morning in one of Heather's classes. I did a guest lecture and I spoke to them. One of the students asked about how curricula in the public secondary schooling is formulated, and I told him about my experience sitting on the UNISA panel where we had to evaluate prescribed reading, and there was always 99% of a group that rejected the
Othello and Shakespeare
of including Shakespeare in the curriculum, and I was presenting exactly what you're doing now. Their argument was that it was completely removed from our local context, our local reality, and therefore students cannot draw any value from it. My argument was that if you read Shakespeare, you are continuously engaging and deconstructing the text because you have no idea what the meaning is. So it's a skill that you develop, which is absolutely critical for you to apply to other reading as you progress through your studies. In our next session, we are taking all of these bits, Ronnie, that we've been discussing in the previous sessions, and we are starting to apply it to academic writing. So it was important for us to get through all of these sort of preliminary phases before we get to the heart of it, and that is how to construct an academic argument based on what we've learned. I thank you for your time. Chantal, happy? When are you starting your studies?
Yes, thank you. I'm happy. I'm actually a second year student, but I'm just interested in the topics
That's what
that you've got.
I'm very glad to hear that, because we want to make this open as many students and even faculty and administrators and everybody else.
Yes, I'm enjoying the series tremendously.
Okay, thank you very much. Dr. Frenzel, sorry, we finished a minute or two early. I was hoping for a bigger group, but hoping there was some value in this.
Thank you, Mario. Very, very, very helpful, and I really like your photograph as well. But anyway, so yeah, maybe just wanted to say something as well, because I think one of the things that often happens, seeing that we still have 2 minutes, of what I see with my students as well, and even at PhD level, is that there's always this temptation to include irrelevant information in your assessment. So because it's something that looks really nice or it's really interesting, it actually has nothing to do with your topic. but now people want to include it because it's so interesting. And it's something that you really need to guard against. And for me, always what's very useful is to have a purpose statement. So what is the purpose of this assessment?
Yeah.
And stick to that purpose statement. So don't deviate from that, because then we get into the temptation of including irrelevant things. And part of developing our academic writing skills is also to make sure that what we include is absolutely relevant to the topic,
Yeah.
and not going off topic.
Yes, and that's what I said at the very opening, that I find very challenging with postgraduate students, is that they are not making those hard decisions. So they find something that is very nice, but it does not directly contribute to the purpose of that particular piece of writing. And then you need to point it out to them, and they need to cut it. And it's like cutting a limb off. It's very, very difficult and painful to do, because you spent a lot of time on it. But that is unfortunately what good writing is all about. Good writing is not just about what you put in, but also what you leave out. Thank you very much for your time, and looking forward to engaging with you in our next session. Please spread the word. We want 50 students on this call, and yeah, hoping to see you soon. Thank you very much.
Thank
so
you.
much, Mario. Thank you,
Thank
everyone.
you
Thank you
all.
for joining.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.